Hi. Sorry. So this video is going to kind of be an introduction to me and to this channel. So far I've posted a couple of videos that are pulled from my coaching page, but I really wanted to kind of shift the focus of this channel a little bit. So I'll have the link to my coaching page will be on the page and in the description, but the focus of this video and of all of the rest of the videos on this group are really going to be about more inspiration and I guess like empowerment and kind of drawing from my story to talk about that. So this video is going to be a little bit of background about my story, and I'll keep that as kind of an intro to give people an idea of where this kind of comes from. So I posted on social media recently as part of my coaching about a little like teaser, I guess, to my story. And from that, there was a ton of support and a lot of people reaching out. And I thought that this was a really great opportunity to talk about something that doesn't really get talked about a lot. So in that post, I hashtagged it with CSA Survivor. And for those of you that don't know, CSA is kind of the technical abbreviation for childhood sexual abuse. So CSA Survivor would be that I experienced childhood sexual abuse. And then I also have in there, I talk a little bit about my previous eating disorder. So I kind of wanted to talk about specifically those two topics because that's where a lot of my experience draws from are those things, and they kind of intertwine. So the first time I experienced any kind of abuse was when I was 15. That's also right around the same time that my eating disorder really kind of started. So I did experience disordered eating patterns. They later blossomed into full-blown anorexia nervosa. I have some anxiety disorder issues, those kinds of things. And a lot of it stems from the abuse that I experienced as a kid and growing up. I left home at 17 and I moved in with a friend's family. I went to college. I tried to have a normal life. I did have a normal life for all intents and purposes. It's not impossible. There are some things that are very different for me, and we'll get into that in later videos. I'll kind of pick a topic each time. But today I had to write out my story for a program that I'm doing with fitness, and because I had to write it out, it was kind of a good opportunity for me to really think about how I tell my story and how I put it out there. So there's the abuse part, and I'm not going to go into details. It is pretty difficult to talk about even now. I've been through several rounds of therapy to work on that, but it's still really difficult, and it's nothing that anybody really needs to hear. So I won't go into details about that, but just the first memorable instance of abuse was when I was 15. I'll turn 25 in about a week and a half. So it's been about 10 years since I remember it. Most likely there were some things happening earlier than that I just never really associated or remember. That's typically how it happens. So I went to college and tried to get over it. I tried to just pretend that it didn't happen and let it all go, which if you have ever experienced any kind of bullying or abuse or anything like that, you know it's not that simple. So that's kind of what I try to do, just put it out of my mind, forget it ever happened, and move on. And that didn't work at all. Like, it was horrifyingly bad. So I tried to make the most of it, I guess. I tried to become a therapist for sexual assault survivors and really use my experience to do good. And that also crashed and burned. as a survivor, it's not very easy to be experiencing triggers like that all the time. So that didn't really work out. I did end up completing college with a bachelor's degree in psychology. I went on to social work, still with the intent of doing something clinical or therapy related. I am not doing that now. One thing about this whole journey has been that nothing I thought was going to happen has ever happened. Life has not been what I would have thought it would be at all. Every time I thought I had something figured out, it would just kind of run amok and go crazy. Which is, I have a tattoo, and it's everything happens for a reason. And that's because every single turning point or weird thing that's ever happened in my life has had a purpose behind it, and there's been something really beautiful that's come out of that. So that's partially what this channel will really be about. I'll try to put up a video at least every week, maybe more than every week. But I really want to talk about the things that I've learned and where I've come. Because a lot of people think I have it all together, and that's because I've always had it all together, and it's just not true. So I really want to share some of the lessons that I've learned, and I want to hear from other people, and I've always wanted my pain to mean something, and so far I think it's touched a couple of people, but I've been really inspired recently to put it out there more. And I follow a program called Speak Your Silence, and I think that what they're doing is so amazing to make people feel like they don't have to be silent. I was not. I did report my abuser, and he got away with it. He was charged. Sorry, it's been a really long time since I've talked about this. He was charged with multiple counts of child abuse. However, the judge determined that there was not enough evidence, that my accounts were not reliable enough to utilize in court, and he was let go. The case was dismissed, so he does not have, there were no repercussions. He has no restrictions and never has. So I don't want anyone to feel like my story is a reason not to say something. If he's ever charged again, it will pop up that he has been accused before, and that matters. That matters for the next person so that they can get justice. So I definitely want to continue sharing my story, and thank you for watching and listening in. And I'll try to post again a little bit later this week. With my birthday coming up, it's definitely something that's been on my mind. It's the big 25, so a quarter century, and just thinking about my life and where it's at. So stay tuned for life lessons, encouragement, inspiration, whatever. But thanks for listening.